business on the agenda. Just go back to the front here. There's a Class 2 motor vehicle license renewal hearing for 640 Main Street. And I will defer to the solicitor. I know that all the appropriate correspondence went out by registered mail, Joyce? And I don't know if any of the parties are here. Felix or Maria? Okay.
Madam Chair, the particular statute involved here is Chapter 140, Section 59, which what that particular statute says is the license that was previously issued expired on December 31st of 2003. When a person seeks to get a renewal of that license, it's essentially like a new application and treated like a new application. And the statute basically would allow you to not hold a full-blown hearing if you so choose in deciding whether or not you're going to grant the renewal of the license. Since this particular applicant actually held a license previously, what the case law indicates is that the board, if they chose not to renew the particular license, would have to at least give a statement of reasons for denying the application. And then that person would then have a right to review that, and then they would have the applicable right to appeal to the Superior Court if they so wish, and the court would review that under the standard called arbitrary and capricious as to whether or not your decision was based on sound basis or whether it was arbitrary and capricious. What the statute would allow you to do is basically there's three things that are required in order for a proper license to be issued. One is that the board, after reviewing the application and the information submitted by the applicant, and after doing any investigation of any relevant facts of the applicant or the information contained in the application, the board has to make a finding that the person is a proper person to engage in the business that they have so applied for. Secondly, that the business is or will be that person's principal business. And then three, that they have a suitable place that is available for business for that particular purpose. So if one of those three things does not exist, you have a right to deny that renewal of the license. So it's basically an annual review that you'll do in determining whether or not you're going to renew that license. So somebody could be a proper person to hold the license previously, and then because of other events that occur throughout the course of that year or through further investigation or discovered beyond that, the board can determine that the person is not a proper person to hold that particular license. I know that the chief had provided police reports and whatnot and some information to the board previously, and in my opinion, in reviewing those documents, I think that would be sufficient basis, if the board so chose, to not renew that license as indicating that that person is not a proper person to hold the license under the statute and case law.
Madam Chair, also, I believe if you ride by the premises there are no trespassing signs posted, and I'm just wondering if the applicant or renewal applicant has lost use of that building, which would be also another reason.
Well, I think that the solicitor has explained the process that we can follow. Certainly, Tom.
I talked to the property owner last week, and said, he informed me that Mr. Rivera and Ms. Romano were no longer tenants. He's changed the locks, he has posted it, he has removed all but two of the vehicles, and I'm not sure, that was last week, and I didn't drive by it today to check to see if the others were, if the other two were removed. He has somebody who's interested in purchasing it. It's going under an agreement, hasn't been done yet, but it's going to run a repair garage. Whether he's going to come back in looking for a license for that location, I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
So based upon that information, the additional ground you would have would be that as far as the information that's available to the board, there is no suitable place for them to conduct that particular business. So you have more than enough of sound reasons to base your decision on that. If you so choose not to renew, then if you would like, I can prepare a statement of reasons for you and provide that to the town administrator, and then he can serve them appropriately.
Sure, that'd be great. What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion at this time not to grant the renewal at 640 Main Street, DBA Depot Square.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. So you'll put something together?
Yes, I will prepare that and give that to Michael.
Terrific. Thank you very much. The board has a second-class motor vehicle dealer license renewal hearing for 5 Russell Place. Want to come forward?
Yes, I do.
Just give us your name and address.
Renee Arsenal, Russell Place, Clinton.
Renee,
Yes.
I guess there was a question as to what your license was issued for the number of vehicles that were cited on your property. So if you
Well,
can speak to it for...
I've been in business for 42 years,
Mhm.
since 1962. You could buy every brand-new American car in this town. When I was in business, we sold them parts, we did this, we did that for them. They're all gone, needless to say. Many have come and gone. The problem with running a used car business today is maintaining, repairing them. That's the biggest problem. And it being a small business, it's tough to sell a used car today and guarantee it after the factory has said they don't want anything to do with it. Maintenance is so high. If any of you people that had a car repaired, you know what it is. It's a $500 bill, or it's going to max your credit card. I mean, that's pretty much the way it is. So I think the used car business, as far as repairs are going, they've got rid of all the new car dealers years ago because the cars were warranted for 12,000 miles. You were lucky if you could get out of town without doing something to them. So, I mean, that's where I'm coming from. You fellas probably don't remember. But the maintenance killed them, the warranty work. Now, once they got out of that category and you paid the bill instead of the factory, now the dealer could make some money. But below that, they were paying you 50 cents on the dollar to fix the car for the factory, so that drove everybody up. And that's what's happening in today's market. You just can't literally afford to fix them anymore. I mean, people are doing it because they can't afford $30,000 for a new car. So people are desperate. They're looking for that $500 car, but that is not available anymore. I mean, it's just too risky to sell somebody even a car for $3,000. A $1,500 transmission at $2,000 if the guy comes back. You're gone. I mean, you're out of business, pretty much. So the car business, as far as I'm concerned, is headed the same way it was 40 years ago. Once it's out of warranty, and actually many of the salvage yards today don't even want to take the parts off away anymore. If they sell you a part, it's usually off a $100,000 car, and it costs too much to fix it, and the guy don't want to put it in because he's got the liability now. He don't want to touch it. So it's going to be unheard of to fix an automobile. If anybody's tried to get rid of an automobile today, you're paying somebody, or you're donating it to get rid of it. And they don't want it if it's 10 years old or more. It's as simple as that. And down the road, in the next 5 years, you're going to either turn that car back into the dealer, and he will dispose of it, or you're going to pay somebody several $100s to dispose of it. You can't get rid of them. They're going the way of everything. This is the day of throw it away. Use it and throw it away. Would you ever believe you couldn't buy a TV in Clinton anymore? Nobody fixes them. I mean, that's what happened. They couldn't afford to fix your TV. You can buy a new one for $100. You can't, it's just, nobody wants it. The factories don't want you or anybody repairing their automobiles. These young fellas that are, I see them coming and going, oh, they want 6 cars or 12 cars. They could have 100 cars. It doesn't make any difference. They're just struggling to survive. It's health insurance. Everybody has to have somebody else working in the family that carries it. My wife is 65. She's going to have to work till I'm gone and probably till the day she goes to afford it. I mean, it's $600 a month. What's happening? You know, really, I mean, I don't know. All I know is today, my business was not selling a lot of used cars. I needed the cars. My cars were mostly used cars with low miles. And you primarily come to me, well, you know what, I don't know if you're familiar with my location, but if you find me, you're either lost, you're looking for me, or you're riding the Boston and Maine Railroad. I mean, that's pretty much my location. So I have to have a business that people, I don't sell cars. I don't think I ever sold an automobile that somebody drove by because they don't see them and said, oh, gee, I like the color of that or something or other. They come down and you develop a rapport with people. This when you sell him a truck, you build a truck for him or you build a car for them. They go home or they tell a friend and next thing. And that's pretty much all I could handle. We couldn't handle all kinds of repairs and a whole mess of sales because the maintenance is just incredible. I mean, you're better off to have a few good sales you made a few bucks on, you know, and keep people happy. I used to sell cars and somebody come back 6 months later, oh, my starter is gone. No problem. I've got the starter from the other vehicle that I took apart to put your car together. You just give it to them. There's no, you know, it's just, but business is done altogether different. The factories today, big corporate giants, I see, I've been invited to join the Chamber of Commerce over the years, I don't know how many times, you know, and I probably should have done that, I don't know. Maybe I could have done something I don't. But at any rate, we're looking for businesses to come into town, but the small guy isn't going to make it. He's not going to make it. These property values are, you can't pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. The fellas in the gas stations that are running them, that oil company don't care if you repair cars. That doesn't make them any money. But once you lax on the pumps, now you're going to hear from them. They don't want you in there. Get out. Because they don't make any money on you inside the garage. They only do it because they have somebody to pump gas. And you put up with it. You're a small businessman. How many people are, you know, it's like climbing a grease flagpole when you're a small business. I mean, you're really going, I'm not rich. You know, I got to still do something. At 65, these are supposed to be my golden years. My hair isn't golden, it's silver, but, you know, that's not doing anything for me. But I mean, you still have to produce some way, anyhow. You have to make a buck. It's too bad. I don't know what young people, and I say you young people, are going to be doing in the next 20 years. If anybody ever told me a house was worth $300,000 in Clinton 40 years ago, I would have said, you're crazy. I could have bought all of Henry Street and Walnut Street for $300,000. You know, I mean, that's what it's all about. Money and the big giants, these gas stations will have bread and milk and everything else in there when these guys can't survive any longer. As I sit you in front of me now, 5 years from now, you won't even look for dealers selling cars.
Dave, just what
Madam Chair, I have a question for Mr. Arsenault. How did you get to keep you here being a small businessman?
I don't know. Well, I didn't worry about an awful lot of things. But today, if you're selling somebody an automobile, you're going to worry. Because you can't sell anybody a $2,500 car and do $1,500. You know, today when a kid is selling a used car today, he keeps his fingers crossed, his legs crossed, and everything else crossed that you drive that car beyond the warranty. Then he'll say, too bad. You've heard horror stories. People have problems, they come back, and so he's no good, and he's, you know, you can't run a business. I couldn't run a business like that, not down there. I'd have the same cars today I bought 40 years ago if I was dependent on somebody driving by to see them.
Madam Chairman, I have a question, another question for Mr. Arsenault. How many cars do you have on the lot right now?
12, 13, 14.
Okay, I think that's the issue here. Is your license is only for one? Yeah.
But when I got a license, it was, years ago, it was a cement block building. I got an acre of land down there.
I know, but I think the issue, we just, and your story
Well, then
telling has
well,
been
it was
very
20,
interesting.
it was 25, and I had a
Right.
little health problem
Yeah.
back here a few years ago, and, you know, of course,
But the thing of it is, Mr. Arsenault, if you want more than one car, you have to come back and ask for additional vehicles, and I think that's the issue here. The building inspector did a, excuse me, a very thorough update of the people who hold second-class licenses, what their license, the amount of vehicles, and what vehicles, how many vehicles were on the properties of where they're doing business. The building inspector indicated that you had a license for one, but you had, I think, 12 vehicles. So if you intend to have more than one vehicle, you have to come back and ask for an increase in the number of vehicles.
I came up at the time that I had a little medical problem. I had 25. I've always had 25 cars. Prior to that, the license just said cement block building with no amount of cars. Then I had 25 cars for years. And I had a little problem, and Mr. Dillon had come down, and I come up here one night, and Mr. Dillon come out to me and said something. I wasn't feeling too good at that time. He had said something, and he said, "You're all set." Well, all set meant all set with one car. I mean, I couldn't possibly, it didn't really matter that much to me at the time, because I really didn't feel like doing any cars at that particular time. But nowadays, I mean, I've got to do it. I don't have a choice. And I had 25, and I don't know who made the judgment to give me one car. I mean, that's literally not existing.
Tom, you want?
I think at the time when you were out with your illness, and I think that what we had talked about is that you were going to retire, you were going to get out of the
Right, I
business.
did, yeah.
And at that point in time, the board reduced it to one. You know, the issue still is that there are more vehicles there than is allowed, and it is a violation of the zoning bylaw. But if I read this, this hearing notice correctly, it's for alterations, and I think that the board could, you know, increase the number as long as we could get some cleanup down there.
I've got it. Well, have you been down there?
Yes.
I mean,
I was there last week, and I was there again today, so.
Well, I don't know. I must have missed it. You got a wrap on the garage, because I'm usually in there under something maybe,
I know
or,
where to find you if I need to find you.
well, at any rate.
But
But
I can count beyond 12, so I can.
no, I got that 12, 13, I mean, seriously. There's no two ways about it. I'm not here to deny it. What I am saying is that there's no way that anybody I can't survive down there with that kind of.
Well, Madam Chair, I think a few years ago when we reduced it from 12 to 1, I believe it was 12, it may have even been 15 at the time. It was a higher number certainly than 3 or 6. And I think our intent as a board was that there was discussion of retirement, or maybe be able to hold on to those cars.
Well, Scott wants to,
So if the intent is no longer to do that, and the space could afford 12 or 10 cars, Madam Chair, I'd be inclined that we modify renew the license at a...
well, my property could support 50 cars. I mean, as long as you don't want to drive around the lot. But I have them against, well, I can't have that many because I'm vulnerable to railroad gravel, because the kids throw over the road, over the hill. So I gotta kind of hide them, or put them in such a position that they can't bust out the windshields and so on and so forth. But Scott wants, my son, wants to take it over and just sell vehicles that are factory warranted, low mile, and if there's a problem, I'll just truck it right to the dealer. Case closed, you know, I mean, it's,
All right, so, Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we renew the license at 5 Russell Place with a car quantity of 12.
Sufficient.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Any discussion? Being a public hearing, we'll see if anyone is opposed to that.
How about,
Just what, Renee, just let me just,
oh, I'm
is there
sorry.
anyone in the audience who is to speak against it? Anyone to speak in favor? Okay, there's a motion, there's been a second, so I'll give you an opportunity to say something.
Oh, Scott wants to, my boy wants to take it over, but he wants to change the name into Scott Sales. Now, he's got the building, he's got the
Okay, well,
whole...
that's something else. He would have to come up and apply.
Oh, okay,
for
well, I
change.
brought him up, I didn't know
is
if this
just
could
a-
be
yeah,
settled
no,
all in
This is just a
one.
motion now to increase from 1 to 12. Okay, and Scott, you'd have to go through the other, okay? Up to the secretary should be able to.
Oh, okay, all right.
Any
That's
other
not-
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
You're all set?
Okay, Renee. Scott,
Thank you.
just- Have you thought about being a stand-up comic?
You got a good line.
You've got a good line. Like David Letterman. could-
Well, I learned that over 40 years. When you saw a guy, you gotta have a good line.
I guess so. Keep them coming back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good night.
Take care.
Okay, the board has, the next agenda is Sunday liquor sales discussion, and I know there are several people here that are in the business, and if they want to come forward, we're looking obviously from you folks, some dialogue about what you would like to see as far as the hours. As we know, that the state now allows Sunday package store openings, so speak up. We'd like to really have you give your names and addresses for, just for the record, so.
Thank you. Madam Chairman and member of the board, my name is Rogers F. Bush. I live at 6 Horseshoe Lane here in Clinton. I'm the proprietor, my son and I, of Apple Country Market over here on Mechanic Street. And we're respectfully requesting that you grant us permission to open on Sunday. Pretty much things have changed over the years. I can't quite be as colorful as the gentleman that preceded me, but things have changed over the years. And we're asking permission to sell alcoholic beverages on Sunday. We're already open on Sunday. If I can just read you a paragraph, I did, it's probably not a legal petition, an unofficial petition. We put this out on our counter on January 21st, and what it says here, the Clinton Board of Selectmen are expected to vote on January 21st. This is when I thought you may have voted or acted on it and tabled it. On a recently passed Mass General Law allowing communities to decide whether to allow Sunday sales of alcoholic beverages. If you are a Clinton resident, would you please sign this petition below stating that you are in favor of allowing Sunday sales of alcoholic beverages. Apple Country Markets would be requesting the Board of Selectmen to vote to allow sales between the hours of noon and 11 p.m. And in one day, we only put it out for one day, 262 Clinton residents signed it. There was a number of out-of-town residents wanted to sign it, but we asked, just for Clinton residents only, just to get a census of feeling. No one refused to sign it. No one said that they were opposed to it. Most of the comments we got that this is much more convenient for us. And that's why we only decided to put it out for one day, just because we thought the board would possibly act on January 21st, which in fact, as you know, you postponed it till tonight. I will just add, I've been over there since 1987, and I've been in the business for almost 31 years. And as I read through the trade journals and things of that nature, as we probably all know, things have changed, and if you notice that Sundays are one of the biggest shopping day in the supermarkets, just because everybody's busy with one thing or another. And we get numerous requests to buy alcoholic beverages on Sunday. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Roger. So anyone else that would like to come forward? Sure. Thank you.
Kevin O'Malley, 67 Acre Street. Our store is down at Shaw's. I'm here hoping that we can be open too, but just maybe thinking the hours could be maybe 12 to 6. I understand that gentleman's store is open till 11 all the time. I mean, on Sunday, we're just getting open on Sunday. I don't see staying open till 11. It's gonna. We've been doing it during the holidays. We have good business. After 6, there's really not too much going on. If you don't have your booze or your beer after 6, I mean, you know, we haven't been open all these years for as many years as it's been going, and now we're going to be open 12 to 11. I mean, I understand where he's coming from. His store's open that many hours anyways. Why not? And I know that it'd probably be harder to police people when they come in after 6 to get them not to buy the beer. But, you know, 12 to 6, I think is you know, but that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Hi.
I'm Leona Labonte, owner of Sonny's Liquors, and I also would like to open up, and I agree with Kevin, 12 to 6.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Charles McGrath. I'm the owner of the Vertical Market at 363 Clinton, Main Street, Clinton. We're temporarily suspended operations right now. I have some health issues, but I would also be in favor. The property is under agreement right now, and the prospective buyer would also be interested in selling on Sunday. We've had numerous requests while we were open and told them, unfortunately, Sunday sales were not allowed in town, and we were directing business out of town. We were sending them to Leominster and the other towns that were able to sell on Sunday. So I think it would only be a benefit to us all to sell within those hours.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Rob Tucci, owner of Wachusett Liquors. I actually have very mixed opinions. I don't really want to open because we have 2 young children, and that's our only day off. But I would be willing to try to open the store noon to 6 as well. To open till 11 or any time after 6, I'll be there. Right now I'm there 6 days, 2 nights. My wife's there 6 days, 2 opposite nights. 6 days and 4 nights. Sunday's our only day with our kids. So 12 to 6, if the board so desires, would be my recommendation as well. The only thing some of the owners have talked about is if it happens to be a Christmas Eve or a holiday, I don't know if down the road somehow put something, either extending it an hour or 2, or
Could just do it extended hours on a holiday or something.
Sunday on, yeah.
See what we do now.
But otherwise, yeah, 12 to 6 would be more than sufficient, I would think.
Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this?
Madam Chairman, I might just readdress the board. Certainly I can, understand that somebody who's just strictly in the liquor business and only sell convenience foods. And I would just, there again, request that the board allow 12 to 11. Anybody that didn't want to open to 11 is certainly closed, the way I would understand the liquor would be voting on. So I would ask that, you approve 12 to 11. Certainly no one doesn't have to stay open until 11. I mean, certainly not. I think some of the other stores close a little bit earlier. So I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair? The gentleman
No, but I think what he said is he's basically in the process of selling the business, so, I mean, he wouldn't
Would help the business.
be really selling, yeah.
Mr. McGrath? I mean,
Yes.
Which hours, if you were there, which hours would you be in favor of?
For the entire day from noontime to closing, we never stay open any later than 9 o'clock. But I wouldn't be opposed, as Mr. Bush said, the 12 to 11 o'clock would be fine for the convenience stores to open anyways. My hours would be less than 11 o'clock. Similar to the gentleman who spoke before us on the cars, he had 12 cars to sell. only had the license for one. Well, now he has the option of having as many as 12, but he doesn't have to have the 12. The same thing, if the hours are open from noon till closing, we have the option to be open, but in essence, if we want to close earlier than the 11 o'clock, that'd be fine as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we grant Sunday liquor license sales, restricting the hours to 12 noon time to 6 p.m. And I feel that does give the people in the town of Clinton plenty of time to shop at all of the stores, package stores and convenience stores, and that'll provide them the service and the opportunity to get it and not be an entire burden on all of the establishments that have not historically been open on Sundays. And there is significant cost burdens associated with that for those that don't normally run those hours. And this is new for everyone, and I think at this time, 12 to 6 affords everyone the appropriate time. So I'd make a motion to grant from 12 to 6 on Sundays.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chair.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, thank you all for coming. Okay, the administrator's report. Michael's in the room, so we'll just try to, we have a request from the county. Yeah, sure. I don't see why we wouldn't. I mean, it's in place. I mean, it's been passed, so that, it wasn't in the motion, but.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that effective this Sunday, February 8th, package stores and convenience stores can begin selling from 12 to 4, 12 to 6.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, the administrator's report, I'll just whiz right through this here. We've got County Line Car Club of Clinton requesting a number of dates to be in front of the town hall. They've had this before in previous years. And they've got May 8th, June 12th, July 10th, August 14th, September 11th, and October 9th. The only question I would have on this, Joyce, isn't the Old Home Day the 11th this year? I'm sure it's the 11th, and so that would be my concern, is that they're looking to come in from 5 to 9. So I would...
Madam Chair,
I'll make the motion.
I'll make the motion that we grant County Line Club their request, excluding the date of September 11th, that they can come back with an alternative date for their September weekend.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. And we have the Town Hall Use Committee has recommended that we allow 3 dates, March 12th, the 13th, and the 27th, and they've all been approved.
So moved, Madam Chair.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We have a request from the Conservation Commission to use $2,166.25 from the Wetlands Filing Fund to be paid for consulting fees for work performed in relation to different projects.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we allow the Concom to pay the 2166.25 fees from the wetland filing fund.
Is there a second?
Second, Madam Chair.
Any discussion?
Just on this discussion real quick, where's that, the 2,100 coming from, do we know? Is it coming out of general
it comes from a
fund?
fund that was set up.
Out of the conservation fund?
The
Of the wetlands fund?
Fund, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We also have a letter from the Department of Public Works Superintendent looking for an additional $50,000 for the snow and ice account.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the additional $50,000 to the snow and ice for the remainder of the season.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. A late night closing. We have a number of establishments.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
And will also in your motion, Mark, be that any additional request to come in, they go to the chief for
Yeah,
approval?
pending chief.
Okay, the understanding of everyone? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous.
One abstain.
Okay, Mark, let's forget about John. Okay, we have a request from J&B Used Auto Sales. They're requesting, doing business at 556 Main. They're requesting to go from 6 to 12 cars.
Madam Chair, there was a letter we received from the building inspector saying that he felt it was okay and a recommendation that the petitioners run a clean operation. So, Madam Chair, I'd be in favor of increasing from 6 to 12 at 556 Main.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have a request to have evaluation advisory group come in to perform work on an asset inventory and valuation study. Lorraine, do you want to come to speak to this? This would be done through the town accountant's office. The handout I just gave you explains what GASB 34 is all about. For towns our size, as of June 30th, '03, when our audit is completed, it has to include a statement of assets, not infrastructure, except for the enterprise funds, but all town buildings and assets over an amount that we determine, which usually is around $5,000, have to be valued and appreciated on the statement. This is generally done by specialized companies. And I did earmark page 3 and highlighted the part where it explains that in order to start implementation, you do have fixed asset consultants and oh, yes. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was just explaining that it is common practice that you have a separate group do it. When we first started hearing about GASB 34 about 5 years ago, it was thought that the auditors would be able to do that as part of the audit. Because of Enron and those such things, if the auditors did it, then they can't audit the numbers. So therefore, another group has to come in and do the numbers, and then we can keep them up to date. Just a question on that, and I know Michael, no, Michael, you're back there. On evaluation of properties, don't we, as our insurance carriers, don't they evaluate that, what the evaluation of our property is? That's a different... Depreciation, don't we already have all that information? No, the valuation that the insurance company has is the insurable value. We have to have the historical cost, and it takes a specialist to kind of find out what today's dollar was 100 years ago, whenever the buildings were built. Some of the information certainly we have, and I have already asked all the department heads to turn in a listing with their best guess as to when things were purchased and approximately what their value was. That will cut down on the time, and we have sent them our insurance listing so that they have an idea of what assets we have. But insurance values are very different from these values.
So,
excuse me.
Why do we need to care how much we spent 100 years ago if the asset value is what it is today? I guess I need a accountant explanation of, we're not paying a capital gain here on our properties, so what is the factoring of what it cost when it was purchased 40, 50, or 100 years ago?
I would say the best answer to that is everybody else is doing it. Massachusetts is one of the last ones to come on board with these statements, and we actually thought that it was kind of going to go away, like some of the other accounting things that they've thrown at us. But this one's not. It's mainly groups like Moody's and the different bonding companies. They want to look at a set of financial statements that look the same as everybody else's so that they can figure out really what the town is all about.
what the total net worth of the town is.
But isn't our net worth based on the value of an appreciated, of the value of a building today has no impact, or, I'm trying to figure out why would we have an expert try to track the value of what a dollar was in 1930 and 2003? Why aren't they concerned, these bonding companies, town hall is worth 2.5 million, fake number, I'm just throwing it out
Yeah.
there, based on today's dollars,
Right.
not 100 years ago.
It's just because governmental accounting is different. I think it keeps a lot of people in business.
And what if we don't do this?
Then we'll have our audit will be qualified, and the next time we do a bond, our rating should probably go down.
Significantly, or is this a,
Yes, because they said that anyone who does not have it will have qualified findings in their audit, and a qualified finding is a heavy impact.
We don't have in-house capability of doing this? I mean,
Yeah.
if we're talking about the infrastructure, just I'll say the infrastructure. I mean, don't we have, we know where all our pipes are. I mean, again, and I go back to Mark, is that who cares what it was worth 100 years ago? How can anybody put a price tag on that anyways? We're going to have an expert come in to put the price tag on what it was 100 years ago?
Yes,
Oh,
and then
relevant.
depreciate it.
Doesn't make any sense. Was this voted on in the legislature, or was this
It's-
a law passed?
Yes,
Well, I
by
suggest,
our State House?
yes, every
well, I suggest as
city
a
and town.
board, the first thing we do is we send off a letter to the House and ask them, what are they doing? Because this doesn't make any sense to me.
Do you also have in your packets, I believe you have a letter from our auditor, Bill Freyer,
Yeah.
explaining this?
Just stupid. Stupid.
Doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
We
I
were hoping
hate
it
to
would
say
go
it, but it's a stupid law.
I agree. We were
Eight
hoping.
$8,000 for
Stupid, bureaucratic, $9,000 cost that this town shouldn't have to incur to have some expert that we can hardly get more than 2 bids from tell me that, the dollar of 1930 to build that building was X. I
Well, and it's
apologize for my frustration, but
I agree.
just another boiling
It actually
point.
will cost more than that because the audit will now cost more because after they do it, then the auditors have to incorporate that into the audit. And believe me, I agree that I think it's a futile exercise, but it doesn't matter what
Can we get Bill in here to talk about this?
Sure,
Yeah, let's bring him in.
okay.
I mean, the concern is our bond rating. And if it directly links to our bond rating and our inability to get funds, that's the concern. But it's still stupid.
Well, and DOR doesn't like to see qualified opinions either. Because if they've told everybody to do something and then they don't do it, they have a problem with that.
So we don't do it, a bond would be higher, correct?
The interest rate would be higher.
For
This
sure.
is like extortion, you know?
Extortion by accountants.
How
Gun to
much
our
higher?
head.
Because it's brand new. It's just being implemented now, and most cities and towns have done it. So the few that don't, it'll be a year or so before we find out what the real fallout is.
350 towns have done it already, communities?
No, that's the towns that were over 100,000 in revenue. 100 million, I'm sorry, in revenue, had to have it done by June 30th, '02. The towns that are from 10 million to 100 million have to have it done for their statements for '03. And then the small towns don't have to have it done until '04. But Bill Freyer has worked on a few himself already.
Yeah. Well, if we could get Bill into it, I don't know. Is that what the board wants to do? Speak to the,
Well,
I don't care. What do you want to do? Well, I think we're going to have to meet next week anyways, because we've got to start doing these budget processes anyways. Can you get him in for next week?
I'll ask him. I don't know what his schedule is.
I'm not ready to vote on this until we get discussion with the auditor.
Yeah.
And also, if we can you do an inquiry to the DOR, what they think the impact is of a qualified audit? And it doesn't seem like they've given us very much time to factor this in. Or did we know about this?
Oh, yeah, we've known about this for years.
And you've budgeted this?
We've added to our the town audit money, but unfortunately, the town audit went up at the same time. We encumbered some money from last year because we thought we'd start it last year. And so we encumbered that money to put towards this. Then we put extra money into this year, and then this year's audit is coming in at the same price. So the difference was, I also had a reserve fund transfer request for $3,500, which will be the difference.
So this cost, unbudgeted cost, is $3,500?
Yes.
Well, Madam Chair, I just, for the sake of expediency and getting this thing done by June, I think that's your timeline, Lorraine?
Yes. Well, it's...
The audit,
for
the
audit.
asset audit has to occur prior to, the report has to be given to you prior to June.
No, it has to be done as of June of '03. That's when the assets will be valued as. Whenever our audit is ready.
We're in '04.
Right, because we're now doing the '03 audit. '03 has to be completed before we can do the audit.
Okay, so I'm asking you, this June, you need this completed by?
We really need it completed within a couple months, because the audit can't be completed without it.
Well, Madam Chair, I'd make the motion that we approve this, just based on the fact that we did budget the anticipated cost of what this asset audit was going to be. It now appears it'll be an additional $3,500 transfer from a reserve fund. So I'll make the motion that we approve this. It's just, it's a bureaucratic requirement, so I think we need to do it.
So I understand the process has been kind of already started. You
Yes.
budgeted money for it, we
Yes.
have most of the money for it.
Yes, it just, our audit went up, so that we'd still need a little more.
$8,900. So we have to get a transfer.
The $3,500.
Is there a second to Mark's
Lorraine,
motion?
Would it be a contract that they have to?
Yes, Michael has the contract.
I would just recommend if you do approve it, subject to the review of the contract.
So, Madam Chair, I'll withdraw my motion, seeing how there wasn't a second, just to make the motion that we approve a contract with, is it for Sean?
Evaluation advisor?
Evaluation advisor, subject to the approval of town solicitor.
Is there a second?
You don't want to leave it in there first?
No. We don't have, no.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just under discussion, well, I'll do it under old under business, I guess.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. You gonna review it, Mark?
Yes,
I mean,
I'll get
Dennis?
that tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Would you like,
Aye.
There was 3 in favor, yeah. Yeah. Okay.
would you like the reserve fund transfer request form tonight?
No, we got the fire chief. Yes, yeah. We have a request, is the chief here? We have a request from the fire chief in the amount of $44,000 for fire overtime. And it's to fill the shifts to comply with the manning. And his explanation is the department is at present 2 members short. And that's the excess cost.
Would like to meet with the fire chief, and to talk about it.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I'd like to do.
Pretty much complete the reserve fund, so we have to look at other ways to try and fund that.
Can we get him in next week as one of the department heads?
Madam Chair, in his request, at least from a direction standpoint, I'd like to make a motion that we direct the chief to begin advertising to replace the position of retired Captain John McNamara.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Okay, under discussion, that's to start the process.
That's to start the process.
Okay.
You have to advertise this, I think how I had worded that. Yep.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Cash audit sales. Tom, you want to come forward? I know that we have a memo from you, Tom, about an incident that occurred.
I'm sorry?
We have a memo from you about an incident that occurred at
Yes.
that establishment.
Yes.
Okay. And that was at 291 Berlin Street. Okay. So you actually filed a complaint, Tom?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, I'll let you speak to it. I'll let you speak to the situation.
I was going out to the Woodlands to do an inspection. I noticed that there was a large number of vehicles there. I stopped on my way back. Basically threw me out. In past, I've just called the police department, which I did this time. 2 officers responded. They quieted him down. We did take a count of the number of vehicles on the site. There was 10 vehicles there. And he has since removed them. I cited him the next day with a letter that he was in violation. He's back down to the 6 vehicles. There are several other vehicles on the site, but they are licensed, they are registered, and they do belong to customers, so they're basically for repair. He apologized to me, saying that he was having a bad day, and he does have a request for an increase in the number of vehicles on the site. I don't believe that can be granted because that is a violation of the zoning bylaw, because it is a residential neighborhood.
So Tom, Madam Chair, just a question?
Yes.
One question. Your recommendation would be to keep it at 6?
Yes.
Okay.
Based on the zoning bylaw.
So, Tom, you've gone back down and he is now within compliance?
He is in compliance.
Because I'd say if we find him in non-compliance, we bring him in for revoking his license if he wants to be abusive to town officials. I don't see any requirement that we keep a license in his hands. Just my opinion.
No, it's...
You wear the town of Clinton when you walk on someone's property, and if you're going to be abused, then that business owner should run the risk of losing his ability to hold a business.
It's interesting. It's only happened twice in the number of years I've been here. To go out that way is not...
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very unfortunate situation.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Tom. Tom, you said you counted the vehicles. You said we counted the vehicles. Who's we? Yourself and the owner?
Myself, the owner, and the 2 police officers. And their report, I believe, says that there were 10 vehicles there. We were in agreement on that.
I have a quick question. Sure. Now, before you bought that business, is there more licenses? Did he have a person wanted before had more vehicles on the lot? There was a license for more before when he bought it?
At one time, there were more vehicles there. At one time, I believe it was up to 15.
That was actually license 15 back then?
Way back it was, and then I think it dropped down to 12, and then several years ago, when we were making all the cuts, it came down to 6. He wasn't selling that many vehicles. He didn't need... I believe that if somebody's selling 10 vehicles a year, they don't need 10 cars.
Well, I agree with that. I'm trying to ascertain how the 15 went down to 6, and now the bylaw doesn't allow it to go back up because the bylaw...
No, it doesn't, because the bylaw has since changed, and the use is not allowed in the residential neighborhood at all.
That's what I was trying to understand. Thank you.
Well,
That's what
again,
you were talking about, right?
Yeah, and any pre-existing non-conforming use that he had, he would lose if he didn't use it for a period of time. So I agree with Tom's analysis that current zoning would be a problem for that location. But irrespective of that, the board still has the discretion to decide if they're going to issue the increase or not issue the increase. So even if it didn't violate zoning, you could still deny or you could approve. If it violates zoning, technically you could still approve, but then Tom would have to enforce the zoning bylaw that says that he can't do that, so he wouldn't be able to operate it.
Right,
So, given the fact that the zoning bylaw is clear that they can't do it, my recommendation would be with Tom that he deny the increase.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we keep cash auto sales at their existing number of 6 on the lot.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just under discussion that went, the board also should send a letter notifying the owner of that establishment, knowing that abuse of language or any other type of disrespect to town officials won't be tolerated. And we'll call them in the next meeting if it happens again. That's all.
I don't think we require a motion, I think we'll just...
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just send a video, that's all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Sorry that happened to you.
Okay. This is something we have to Mike, did you want to speak to the landfill issue?
Yeah, just briefly, Madam Chair. We did receive comments based on the EP requiring that we do This letter here was a response to the DEP's review and comments on the town's proposal to provide additional information relative to the leachate going into South Meadow Pond. Their comments are pretty extensive. What I would like to do with the board's permission is to request a meeting with DEP to further discuss this issue. The information that they're asking the town to do, preliminarily they indicated that we have a limited scope to try and fill in some data gaps that they had in the file. This is a total comprehensive site assessment of that property, which is going to be a big undertaking and probably significant cost to the town of Clinton. So what I'd like to do is to set up a meeting to go in and talk with the head of the solid waste division people, maybe ask town council to attend and see if we can talk about what they're thinking and what they're requiring the town to do, because it's pretty in-depth study.
I know that it's dated the 30th, I don't know when we received it. But I mean, obviously, it's, we have to respond within 10 days. So.
Right, I believe we received it on Monday. Yeah, so yeah, and our response could be that of requesting a meeting with them.
I mean, I think it's imperative that we do respond within the 10-day period, to get in there, like you said, to get a meeting together. I mean, I think the DEP has always been very cooperative with us, and I think we've always demonstrated a willingness to address whatever concerns come up, whether it be the landfill or whatever.
Right.
So, I mean, I would look forward to our being able to sit down and go over. And as you said, it's pretty detailed and obviously a lot of information, dialogue that we have to discuss about the issues. So.
And I agree. We have been working with them, and they've been working with us, so we felt we've had a good relationship. It's just that we had a different set of thinking about what was going to be required for this CSA than what they came back with. So it's...
So, Madam Chair, you need a motion to direct Mike to send a letter requesting a meeting with the DEP?
Or a telephone call, whichever, is, I think we want to expedite this
Sort of
as much as we
correspondence.
can, and try to get something set up, so either or here.
Okay.
Here's your motion just to make contact with the DEP within the 10-day time frame.
And are we directing Mike, or, yeah, we're
Yeah,
directing
Michael.
Michael. Madam Chair, I make a motion that we request the town administrator contact DEP as soon as possible this week, if possible, Mike, if the schedule allows it.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous.
And I'll let the board know if there's a date coming up, if there's
Sure.
anyone that's available or willing
Sure,
to
absolutely.
attend.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, it would be very helpful.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lynn. And then also, just under old and new, we also had a letter from a resident in reference to the actions of the Clinton Charter Commission. So I know they posed some questions to the board, but obviously I think this board has demonstrated that we as well have some concerns about the process and what's being suggested for changes in town government. And I think we, back a few months ago, stated some of our concerns, and I'm confident that this board will continue to address concerns about some of the suggestions being made by the Charter Commission if we feel that it's not in the best interest in the town. So we thank this woman for writing us, and we have some of the same concerns that she has as well. Committee reports. I know that Steve and Mark, who are both on the Recycling Commission, met this evening, so if you want to just share with us some
Sure. I don't know if Selectman Mendoza wants to take the stage on it, or? Sure, okay. The Clinton Recycling Commission met earlier today, and basically, the commission voted to have a bulk item day Saturday, April 24th of this year, from 8 a.m. to 12 noon down at the Clinton Recycling Center. And we're going to meet probably within the next month to get all the vendor costs in and see how much we're actually going to be charging for fees, and then we'll post that, we'll advertise it in the 2 local papers. So that's basically where we're at tonight, and we just wanted to brief the board and the townspeople on that, so we're looking forward to it. And our last one was back in April 6th of 2002, so.
Yeah, it was really successful.
Yeah, so we should have a good number this time around.
All right. Super. Anybody else have any committee reports? Public comment? Okay, the board will go into executive session on Article 3, water treatment plant, discussion.
Madam Chair, make a motion to go into executive session on Article 3.
Is there a second? Requires a roll call. Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Steve?
Aye.
Dino? Aye. Chairman votes aye. Then we'll be coming out, going into budget discussion with the town accountant and the DPW superintendent, and then we'll be going back into executive session, so. And just the signing of the warrant, so